Rick Horrow keeping score. The business of golf always at the forefront. A little bit of a shakeup. Nike in, Nike out. They're in on the celebrity side with Jason Day. They're out on the hard goods side. But more important than all that is there is a real state of flux. Golf survives. It's stronger than ever. The demographics point to avid golfers. Many of us play. I play 180 rounds a year, though not well. And somebody who can give us a snapshot of all of that, CEO of Tour Golf. He'll explain who it is and what it is. Jon Alpern. Jon, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, the last round of the 180 rounds didn't go very well. But, you pick a hard course and you use rental clubs. Everybody has his own excuse as to how to justify mediocrity, don't you think?
I think that's golf is a game of constant improvement. And if you can, and I think the most important thing, people really need to know that it's a game that can be enjoyed whether you're playing great or not playing so great.
Right. And it's a game that can be cause of great misery when you're playing great or not so great. But that's another topic for another day. We're on the business side today. Jonathan, first of all, CEO, COO, past 12 years overseeing and guiding successful business ventures, JDH Capital, obviously raising money in the space. And one of the things that has been birthed by all of this is Tour Golf. So tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, Tour Golf was founded in 2004 under the simple guise that we thought there was an opportunity to provide a young, affluent professional the ability to stay in golf and play a variety of private golf courses that may not be accessible to them because they were not members of those golf courses.
And so the evolution and the business proposition to actually get more access for the game, and you and other companies that continue to do that make money, I'm sure, but the net result is you also promote the game very well.
Yeah, I think it was a great match between the private golf industry and a changing and forever changing consumer. What we quickly found out is that most of the people that were utilizing our program in its early stages were utilizing it for the purpose of some kind of client entertainment or some kind of corporate use or doing something to further their business life, which really led us to the programming that we're really exclusively providing today.
So tell us a little bit more about the exclusive programming. What does somebody get if they're involved with the company?
We are uniquely positioned to provide access to over 500 private golf courses throughout the United States, and also some locations in Europe and also in Canada. And we have 3 core services. The access is really a member for the day, which was the original service that we provided. So members of Tour Golf are able to play as an unescorted foursome, which is very unique in the industry. They're able to leverage that same access, and we customize small group events, often around sales conferences or incentives for channel partners. And we do that largely for Fortune 500, 1,000 companies, as well as some regional sales and business development organizations.
And I will testify firsthand, though I've never met you, and this is not a setup, that's something that if I had it in my quiver with all the travel that I do, I would be a rich man mentally. So you and I stay on the line. How's that?
We should do that afterwards for sure.
Yeah, we will. But more specifically, the golf business is now the most important thing for you from a metrics perspective. If the golf business isn't doing very well, the high end is not going to do well either. And bottom line is it's gone through a pretty significant state of flux. Where do you think the golf business generally is today?
Well, I think there's been, on the one that's most poignant to us is the building and the amount of inventory that's available in the high-end market. So, there has been a slight retraction, but I think golf has started to become a healthier business overall because there has been some fallout on the high end when in the early 90s there was a huge build out, and some of it attached to real estate that didn't make much sense for the industry.
And so do we think, and the bottom line of overbuilding was pretty clear, but they always, the economists would tell you that it matched up, unfortunately, perfect storm-wise with the quote-unquote Great Recession. Now the world of stocks and financial management seems to be coming back, and the future of the golf industry generally pretty good?
Yeah, I think. Listen, it's a game that millions of people enjoy worldwide, not only from a viewing perspective, but really in our category, which is the participation perspective. And what we are seeing is that corporations, which is most of the business that we do, are really seeking out and looking for very unique experiences for their customers. And golf just happens to be one of the great categories that can deliver some outstanding client relationship building and business building activities that you can do with prospects and clients.
What do we think about, ironically, people like Jack Nicklaus and others who are now attempting, as they enter the twilight of their respective careers, to open golf up to the masses? You'd have thought he'd never been the author of or a supporter of the 15-inch hole and tees up in the middle of the fairway and 9 holes of golf, but everybody seems to be saying that's better than no golf at all, and that's another way to get people into the game. Are you of that school?
I'm very much of that school, and it doesn't exactly correlate with our business, but golf needs to be made easier. Golf needs to be made more accessible. Golf, in our day and age, time is probably everyone's most valuable commodity, and there's nothing wrong with spending 9 holes. We actually have programming that's specific to Wall Street guys about the attention span of I don't need to make that many parallels, but we get them out for 9 holes after work at 5 o'clock, and they're eating and drinking by 8 o'clock. It's a magnificent way to spend a couple of hours. No one needs to always play 18 holes. There's so many ways to enjoy the game of golf.
We must have just cut out. I think you said attention span of a gnat, but I didn't quite hear that.
No, I didn't quite go there. I may have said 5-year-old.
Right. Very well put. But I think it's important for everybody to understand from a business show perspective like ours is that the idea of streamlining golf for the masses also has some corollaries at your end of the business. The example of the Wall Street golfer for 9 holes. I guess we're in the time business-wise where if cricket goes to a 2-hour quick match in India, then I guess golf can try to reform itself as well, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of work being done by the PGA of America, who happen to be our partners, and obviously the USGA, in really constructing, making it less intimidating. The idea of bigger holes and the idea of pace of play and the idea of play it forward all stem from making it more enjoyable and more accessible for many. And in the corporate world, as time is so challenged, we're competing for corporate dollar with a Nick game, which is a 2-hour event. Golf can be a 4 or 5 hour event layering in travel, and there's no reason why the most powerful, what I think, sports activity you can do with a client can be accomplished within 2.5 hours, and it can be 9 holes, it can be 12 holes. And I think some of the most valuable time to spend with golf is sometimes the hole after the round is finished. So
yeah, and thank God you equated this to a 2-hour Nick game, which under any circumstances you're going to compare favorably to. So that was very well put. What do we think, by the way, from your perspective, post-Olympics? Did the Olympics move the needle a bit on both the men's and women's side?
I think any exposure that the games have, and people who watch the Olympics are probably slightly different than the traditional 3 o'clock viewer on Sunday afternoon on our networks, watching the PGA Tour and or the PGA Championships and or the Ryder Cup coming up. So I think that exposure is great. I think what people get from seeing the TV broadcast are the beautiful venues. You're outside. It's an athletic competition more today than it's ever been, and those can only move the needle in a positive direction.
Well put. Couple minutes left. Let's talk about the pro side. Tiger claiming to be coming back at the Safeway in Napa. Tigerization of the tour was a big deal before, but are we of the school now that Tiger is not as important to the tour as he was, let's say, 10 years ago?
I think like everything else, when you live without somebody for a moment, you realize that there is some core value in what's going on. Now, let's never discount Tiger, because Tiger's brand appeal is very wide-reaching, and it does bring in other demographics that are not natural to the game of golf. And the game of golf needs to expand its core audience. So he will add value. I don't think it's as detrimental as maybe the industry was concerned about when he left.
Yeah, good point. And then I guess finally, what about the equipment piece of this? I know Nike pulling out of the golf business, the hard aspect of it, not the endorsement aspect of it. We have Golfsmith having some issues. We have Adidas closing down. Where is all of that going in your estimation?
I think like the country club side or the golf facility side, I think there's going to have to be a retraction. There's only so much innovation on an annual basis that these companies can do, and the innovation costs a lot of money, and the business has proven to be a little bit of a lower margin business over time, specifically the club business. And I think value is really added by PGA professionals when they can customize clubs, they can kind of work with individuals and kind of steer them into the right equipment as opposed to kind of just buying stuff off the rack. I think that's where there's kind of good margin and opportunity in the business to be made.
So net from Jonathan Alpern, who has some perspective on all of this, golf business doing pretty well, magic wand, waving it and changing anything you could, what would it be?
I think the business is, its core and its base are very solid. It is, there aren't that many activities in this country what people are so passionate about. I think fishing is another one where there's just an incredibly passionate group of followers. I think magic wand, I think the golf industry has to pay attention to things like ease of access, opening up their doors to different demographics, making it affordable and maybe more importantly time sensitive to play and enjoy. And I think we're going to have a great future in golf. And on our side, the corporate expenditure has been very healthy, and it's very healthy because golf is the sport of business. It's a very impactful vehicle, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Excited to have you in the business, and look forward to hearing more from you and about the business as well. Jonathan Alpern, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Executive Officer, Tour Golf. Rick Horrow, speak with you in a couple of minutes.